You have $5 million in net worth. Your financial advisor says you need $7 million to retire early. So you keep working. Meanwhile, somebody with $3 million just walked away from their job permanently. They're generating $140,000 a year in portfolio income, paying almost no taxes, and their wealth is actually growing faster than yours. What do they know that you don't? I'm Christopher Nelson, and I spent 10 years reverse engineering how family offices operate, and the last 4.5 years running my own microfamily office. I'm not here to sell you life insurance, manage your money, or get you investing in a fund. I'm here to educate you. In the past 15 years, I've learned that retirement at this wealth level isn't a savings problem, it's an architecture problem. And in this video, I'm going to break down for you the 4 systems that you need, the 12-month timeline to build them, and why traditional retirement advice is optimized for your advisor's revenue, not your freedom. By the end, you will understand why some people retire with $3 million while others with $10 million can't figure out how to leave their job. So let's talk about why traditional retirement advice breaks down at your wealth level. The standard playbook looks like this. Save 25 times your annual expenses, invest in a 60-40 portfolio, and withdraw 4% a year. That's the Trinity study in a nutshell. And that's what every financial advisor learned in their CFP coursework. And for somebody retiring at 65 with $900,000 with a minimal lifestyle, that could work fine. But you're not that person. You're sitting on several million in net worth, making a strong 6-figure income with concentrated growth positions, while you could be retired in the next year to have 30 or 40 years of retirement ahead and not just 20. The math that works for somebody with less than $1 million completely falls apart for you. Your advisor runs your number through a retirement calculator. Well, with $5 million, you're close, but you really need $7 million to retire safely with the 4% rule and maintain your current lifestyle. So you keep working to accumulate that extra $2 million. But here's the problem with that advice. That 4% rule assumes that you're just liquidating stocks and bonds every single month. No tax strategy, no income generating assets, and no infrastructure. It treats your portfolio like a piggy bank you slowly empty, not the operating system designed to generate cash flow. That's why somebody with $3 million and the right architecture can retire while you're stuck working with $5 million following conventional advice. The difference isn't portfolio size, it's portfolio design. The second problem is where the advice comes from. Your financial advisor gets paid on assets under management. The more that you have with them, the more they earn. So when you ask, can I retire? Their incentive is to say, not yet, keep accumulating. And even if they're genuinely trying to help, they're using frameworks designed for mass market retirement planning. They're not equipped to help someone architect a wealth operating system, because that's what retirement at your level actually requires. Not more accumulation, not better market timing. You need to build infrastructure. And that infrastructure has 4 specific pillars. Pillar number 1 is income replacement architecture. The first system that you need is income replacement architecture. Most people think about retirement income as sell some stocks, then transfer cash to your checking account. That's not architecture. That's liquidation. What you actually need is a portfolio designed to generate cash flow that replaces your active income source. And not just replace it, but replace it in a tax-efficient way that doesn't require you to constantly make selling decisions. So here's how that works in practice. You structure your portfolio into 3 buckets: growth, income, and capital preservation. Your growth bucket is equity appreciation, stocks, private equity, venture capital. This is where you build wealth over time, but it doesn't pay you. Your income bucket is specifically designed to generate cash flow. Dividends, distributions, bond interest, rental income. This bucket is engineered to produce enough to cover your family's expenses. Your capital preservation bucket is your safety net. Think of cash, short-term bonds, CDs. It's liquidity for emergencies or rare opportunities. Now, here's an important point. You don't need your entire portfolio generating income. You just need enough allocated to the income bucket to cover your expenses. So let's use me for an example. My portfolio is around $7.5 million right now, and about 47% of that is allocated to income investments that generate over $200,000 per year in portfolio income. And then I have 47% of my portfolio that stays in growth, continuing to compound. That is the opposite of the 4% rule, which treats your entire portfolio as one undifferentiated pile that you slowly drain. Instead, you're architecting different jobs for different buckets. Growth grows, income pays, preservation protects. And when you do this correctly, your wealth grows while you're retired, not shrink. In fact, in the past few years, while my income bucket has covered all of my expenses, my growth bucket has compounded more than $2 million. That's the power of this. Now, pillar 2 is tax optimization infrastructure. Here's a question. If you retire and start pulling $200,000 a year from your portfolio, how much of that actually makes it into your bank account? For most people, the answer is $140,000 to $160,000. Because they're paying ordinary income tax rates on everything. But there's a different approach. When you build proper entity infrastructure, you can shift how your income is classified, where it flows, and what deductions offset it. Let me show you how this works with actual numbers. Let's say that you have $200,000 in annual portfolio income, dividends, distributions, interest, without any structure, that flows directly to your personal tax return. Federal and state combined, you're at about 37% effective tax rate. That's $74,000 in taxes. You keep $126,000. Now, watch what happens with the right structure. Your holding company generates the same $200,000, but it pays your management company a $40,000 management fee for overseeing the portfolio. That $40,000 is now active business income in your management company, and that's where the deduction stack comes in. Here's where you're probably already spending each year. Family health insurance, $18,000. Home office portion of your mortgage, $4,000. Business travel to research investments, $5,000. Professional services, CPA, attorney, bookkeeping, $6,000. Technology and education, $3,000. That's $36,000 in expenses you're paying with after-tax dollars right now. With the management company structure, those same expenses become business deductions. Your $40,000 in management fee income minus $36,000 in deductions leaves $4,000 in taxable income. Tax on $4,000, about $1,500. And here's where it gets even better. That $160,000 still in your holding company, you can reduce the tax on that too, not through deductions, but through smarter portfolio design from the start. Right now, if that $160,000 is coming from ordinary interest in non-qualified dividends, you're paying the full 37% rate. But restructure your portfolio to generate qualified dividends and long-term capital gains instead, and suddenly that same $160,000 is taxed at 15% to 20%, not 37%. Let's say you restructure so that $160,000 becomes primarily qualified dividends taxed at 20%. That's $32,000 in tax instead of $60,000. So without structure, you're paying $74,000 in taxes. But with the proper structure, you're only paying $33,500 in taxes. You just saved $40,500 per year, same income, same expenses, different structure in portfolio design. And that $40,500 saved annually over 20 years at 7% growth, that's equivalent to having an extra $1.6 million in your portfolio. This isn't a loophole. This is how family offices have operated for decades. You don't need $100 million to make it work. You need the right structure and the right portfolio design. Let's move to pillar 3, your decision-making systems. Here's something nobody tells you about early retirement. The hardest part isn't having enough money. It's making sure it isn't a source of stress and anxiety every single day. When should you rebalance? Which bucket do you pull from this month? Is the investment opportunity worth pursuing? Should you convert more to Roth? Do you take the private equity allocation? When you're working, you defer most of these decisions to your advisor, or you just ignore them because you're busy. But when work is optional and your portfolio is your income source, these decisions compound. This is why so many people who retire end up spending 20 hours a week managing their money. They traded one job for another. The solution is building systematic decision frameworks. You need an investment thesis that defines your strategy in advance. Not, I'll figure it out when the opportunity arises, but predetermined policies that remove 90% of daily decisions. You need a decision matrix that clarifies who decides what. When do you, the CEO, make the call? When do you consult your CPA or attorney? When is something operational versus strategic? And you need clear policies around concentration limits, position sizing, rebalancing triggers, and cash flow management. When you spend a little time and build these systems in advance, wealth management becomes a quarterly review process, not a daily grind. That's the difference between retiring to freedom and retiring to a different form of work. Now, the fourth and final pillar is portfolio governance. This is where you shift from thinking like a client to thinking like a CEO. Most people with wealth relate to their portfolio as something that happens to them. Market goes up, market goes down, their advisor makes recommendations, they approve or decline. That's a passive relationship. What you need is operational governance, the same way that you'd run a business. You need quarterly reviews where you're tracking against your investment thesis. You need annual strategic planning where you're adjusting allocation based on life changes. You need clear metrics that tell you if you're on track. And most importantly, you need to orchestrate your advisory team, not be orchestrated by them. You take this traditional model and you go from just an admin taking direction to the leader of the experts. Your CPA should be a specialist vendor who executes tax strategy within your framework. Your attorney handles entity formation and estate planning within your policies. Your financial advisor, if you use one, implements trades and manages accounts within your allocation model. You're not delegating the strategy, you're delegating the execution. This is how real family offices operate. The CEO sets the vision and the policies, the operators execute within those boundaries. And here's the great news. You already know how to do this. If you've run a team, built a product, or managed a P&L, you possess every single skill required to be the CEO of your portfolio. You're just applying those skills to a new domain. When you build these four pillars, income architecture, tax infrastructure, decision systems, and governance, you transform your wealth from a collection of accounts into a complete operating system. And that's when retirement at $3 million becomes possible while people with $10 million stay trapped. Now let's talk about the timeline. Can you build all of this in 12 months? Absolutely, but it's not a passive process. Here's what the realistic timeline looks like. Months 1 through 3, learn and architect. The first phase is education and design. You're learning the framework. You're building your investment thesis. You're designing your portfolio architecture, your growth, income, and capital preservation buckets, and you're defining your policies in your decision matrix. This is the foundation. You don't start implementing until you have clarity on the strategy. Most people skip this phase. They jump straight to, what should I invest in, without architecting the systems first. That's like starting to code without defining the product requirements. Now, if you want help with this, you should come to our live workshop that's in a few days. We go deep into architecting your microfamily office. I'm going to share more on that at the end of this video. Now, months 4 to 10, build infrastructure. Phase 2 is implementation. You're forming your entities. You're working with your CPA to implement the tax structure. You're reallocating your portfolio to match your architecture. You're setting up the operational infrastructure, accounts, systems, and processes. This is where the holding company gets formed and where the management company gets structured if you meet the criteria. This is where your portfolio transitions from whatever my advisor recommended to strategically designed for my objectives. This phase takes the longest because you're coordinating multiple specialists and you're making deliberate moves, not rushing. Months 11 through 12 and beyond, operate and optimize. The final phase is activation and refinement. You're running the system. You're generating income from the income buckets. You're executing your quarterly reviews. You're measuring against your thesis, and you're optimizing. Maybe the tax strategy needs adjustment. Maybe the cash flow timing needs refinement. You're treating this like any new operating system or business. You iterate based on real world performance. And at the end of this, work becomes optional, not because you hit a magic number, but because you built a system that operates independently of your paycheck. But before we wrap this up, let me share with you the 3 biggest mistakes that derail people who try to do this. Mistake number 1, starting with implementation instead of architecture. People want to jump to which entity should I form before they define their investment thesis. That's building tactics without a strategy. You end up with a random collection of LLCs, but they don't serve a coherent purpose. Build the blueprint first, then implement. Mistake number 2, optimizing for tax savings instead of total system design. Tax optimization is just one pillar, not the entire system. I've seen people build elaborate entity structures that save $30,000 in taxes, but create $50,000 in complexity and administrative burden. The goal isn't maximizing tax savings. It's optimal total system design. Mistake number 3, trying to DIY specialized execution. You should absolutely be the CEO of your own portfolio, but that doesn't mean doing your own tax returns or forming your own entities. Know the strategy, delegate the specialized execution to qualified professionals. That's what governance means. So here's where you are. You've spent years building wealth. You're brilliant at earning, but the transition from money maker to money manager requires a different skill set. One that's never been taught systematically outside of family office circles. If you have between $1 million and $30 million in investable assets and you want to actually start managing your wealth like a business, I'd love to have you at our next live workshop. It's a 2-hour deep dive where we build the foundation of your microfamily office together. You'll leave the workshop with your legacy statement, your investment thesis framework, and your portfolio architecture tailored to your specific situation. And at the time of recording this, we've had over 1,000 people just like you attend the workshop. Head to wealthops.io/go or click the link below this video to register. Our next workshop is likely just in a few days. After you register, check out this video on the microfamily office structure that we'll cover in detail in the workshop. See you there.